Hey, it's Bill Schroeder. Today, I've got a super treat for you. It's someone that you need to meet and someone that has touched me deeply, a client of InTouch's that, well, let's just get into it because we'll get into who this is. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Mackenzie Hellert. How are you today, doctor?
I'm lovely. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to know you, and I know you're a busy person, and I appreciate you taking the time. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and the practice that you own?
Yeah, so graduated actually in 2011 from vet school, so been out a little bit. Purchased a practice in 2021, and that's originally what we started with In Touch with, and then just recently merged another practice with the first one in November of 24. And so now we've got roughly an 11 staff practice altogether and 3 vets.
Okay, your practice is located in your both practices are located in Dubuque, Iowa, correct?
Correct, and we all are one happy family, as we like to say now. We've merged into the Brady Bunch. So yes, single practice, single location, but Dubuque, Iowa.
And the name of your practice is quite unusual. It's a PETMED of Key West, located in Dubuque, Iowa. Like,
I know we like to be creative. So PetMed Animal Health Center is the practice that I originally purchased. So of course that's the name we kept originally, and then we merged with Key West Animal Clinic, and Dubuque was known as the Key to the West, right across the Mississippi River. So that's where the Key West came from. It had nothing to do with Florida. We played around with the name quite a little bit, trying to merge both clinics without losing the family feel of either one. So we came up with PetMed of Key West.
wonderful, like mind blown about the key to the West and the history behind it. And we had the opportunity to have a brief chat beforehand, and you're sitting in your family home, right? And that's where
Indeed.
we're
Yes.
so
So 1867, that's when the logs came down. So
amazing. So I had the fortune of meeting you in 2024 at VMX. And I recall the conversations that we had.
yep.
It was we chatted, and it was like, okay, I'd like to grow my practice, and I'm interested in some growth. And then you came back and saw us in 2025, and the comments that you had and the success that we've shared mutually around your practices are what caused me to want to speak with you today. And I want to thank you for those, and we'll get to that stuff. But to start off, before you partnered with InTouch, what challenges were you facing in practice?
Yes. So I don't know that it was necessarily challenges other than just regular growing pains. I'm relatively tech savvy. I had built all of our previous websites even when I was an associate. So I knew how to do that, knew how to make relatively good web pages and fill in the information. What I really needed is more SEO and the more nitty gritty behind it to really grow a practice and not just have a website up. And especially once I became owner and time constraints are an issue, I needed somebody else to help me with that. So yes, I could have gone online. I could have learned a whole bunch of stuff, spent hours doing that, and then still not have been able to keep up with it.
And that's a story that's told a lot, right?
Yeah,
And I think that is deeply rooted in like the veterinarian soul, right?
yeah,
It's
I
like
can
the
do it
okay,
myself, damn it. Yeah.
yeah, I can do this. I know how to do this, and I appreciate you allowing us to help in your journey.
Yeah.
Was there a specific time or instance that caused you to realize that you needed help?
So in 2024, so really in 2023 is when I had already redone our website in 2021, kept it up in 2022, and then I knew that I had reached the maximum of what I could do without, I don't know, going back to college and learning more about computer stuff. Uh and so I had looked around in the Dubuque area, actually found some local people. They redid the website for me and promised me all sorts of SEO stuff that way. Um, and I looked at the website and I had somebody do it, and it was It was okay. But even I knew that it should be better than what it was. And so I went to VMX, and honestly, I went to a whole bunch of booths because I was kind of looking for ideas. And but also, I was at the time I was a relatively small practice. Cost was an issue, and I think that was my biggest stumbling point
Right.
because especially after just having put money into this website, now somebody
Well,
else is asking me for more money, and is that going to work out?
I appreciate that. I remember those conversations quite clearly, and I remember proceeding with caution and being as clear as we possibly could about setting great expectations. And I really appreciate the trust that you put in my firm. Was there a time, like the aha moment, that you realized that things were working and that you made a good decision to come with us?
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably about 3 or 4 months in, mostly because it takes a little while, it takes a month or 2 to get the website really up and going in the way you want it. Um, and then we started Google marketing. And I had done a little bit of Google marketing before. I mean, Google has a platform.
Pay per click is what you're speaking of, like
Yeah, yeah,
paid.
yeah. Pay per click. And I had also done a whole bunch of Facebook marketing, but having your team go through, I guess, the back end, the part that I don't normally see and be like, "Here's the
Yeah.
words that we need to target. Here's what
Mhm.
other people are spending. Here's how they're doing it and why. Where do you show up?" Um, and that's when it hit home. Not only did I have a great website, I had a great landing page for them to go to, but I had to get them there. And I think those were the words that you guys use. You've got to build the road. You don't have to necessarily keep the road, paved in gold for the next 40 years. You got to keep up the road, but you don't have to keep building it every single year. It's just there.
Hmm. That's really amazing, and I appreciate that. I from the standpoint of understanding like the back of the house
Mhm.
actions when it comes to paid. I was just in a meeting with one of our teams very recently, and they were showing me some new things, right? Like
Mhm.
like new advancements and new opportunities that are there with paid. And I literally said, "Well, how did we figure this out?" And they were like, "Well, experience." And I sit back and I said, "Well, like, how would a veterinarian be expected to stay up to date with something like
Yeah.
this so that they can capitalize on it?" And so, thanks for trusting us with this.
Yeah.
From our standpoint, we see the success of your account quite clearly, and it shows in numbers. And from our standpoint, it's been really nice hockey stick growth in for your account. Are those results obvious on the financials as well?
So it was a little bit hard this last year because, of course, we reached pre-COVID numbers. We didn't have the COVID growth anymore, but we didn't
Yeah.
have a downturn at all. So since every
Hmm.
other practice did, I think that's where we saw our growth from InTouch is because we didn't have a dip at all. And then December when we merged with the other practice, I mean, we're going gangbusters now. And I had anticipated, we should be about a 3 vet practice between the 2 practices. I knew the numbers beforehand, and we are booked solid, and it's January and February.
Wow, great. And I have to tell you, like, so it makes me feel great. And, I don't know if you realize this, but when you came to the booth this year in Orlando, and you shared some financial stuff that we won't put out there publicly. I mean, it was like tear provoking for me because it was like everything that you hope that you're doing, right?
Yep.
It's like, when you build a firm like this, it's an amazing journey, and the potential. And I'm really grateful for you sharing and you taking this time, and as I spoke with the team about your success, I have to say that a lot of it has to do with you too. You're
Mhm.
practicing good medicine, and you're showing up when we need you,
Mhm.
right? It's like, hey, we need to understand your practice, and you're there to help us understand, because it's kind of like one of our people said, it's kind of like the flashlight in a room that we're familiar in. Like
Right.
we know what the room is like, but there's nothing like turning the lights on and having somebody show us around so we can navigate the room appropriately. So thank you for your part in that. Um, if I could be a little bit more bold and just
Mhm.
ask a direct question, what's your favorite part of working with the InTouch team?
So my favorite part, one, I love my go-to person, Jessica, for once a month meetings. And we can joke around and have a little bit of a good time while we're on the Zoom. And we bat ideas back and forth. So she's constantly asking for my input. And I know enough to ask for hers too, and not just be like, go forth and do it. Do what you do best. Uh, that's part of it, but, we're working together. And then even when we needed a new logo, I went to Jessica and InTouch first instead of one of the 3,000 other firms that's out there that coulda created me a logo. Because you guys already have my website, I already know you, like, you do good work, and I was particular, I'm not gonna lie, I probably ran them through the ringer there for about a month, but they came up with a fantastic logo, which is the first thing that people see on our sign, and you guys are the first thing that people see on our web.
Thank you for that. And it's good to be particular, because sometimes I'll talk with, practice owners like yourself, and they'll ask me, okay, so I'm going to start working with your people, Bill. What's, how can I be most successful? And I will say all the time that it is a like it's a cord or a thread with two different pieces of thread in it, I guess.
Yeah.
And, it's there's two things that run consistently through all of our successful relationships. One, that's trust,
Mhm.
where you have this trust in us where we can do the things that we understand are going to make the difference. And then the second goes back to engagement. It's being available to help us understand. So the clients that turn around and say, hey, I'm going to push you, I'm going to be very, very particular. Those are the success stories that I love to tell. So please don't apologize for being particular, because the nightmare is exactly what you alluded to earlier. Like, just do what you do, and you're the experts here, and I don't feel that I should give you some guidance. We welcome the guidance because we, quite frankly, we need to know what's going on. So thanks. What advice would you give to maybe another practice that was considering a relationship with InTouch?
Yeah. So, I mean, just do it. Be like Nike. But essentially, my big thing was the financial. So if we'll just use round numbers, let's say you had a $100,000 practice, which is not a thing, but let's just pretend.
We're in trouble.
Yeah, we're in trouble. Let's pretend that that was an okay practice, so that I can do division here. And 25%, so $25,000 of your budget could be marketing, or it could be drugs, or it could be staff, or it could be anything else. So you need to have a leg to stand on for people to find you. So now if you scale it up to $1 million practice, and now here's more realistic numbers. Now you've got a $25,000 marketing budget, and that may be all of your marketing. But the first thing you got to do is have some place for people to go on the website. You gotta have a brick and mortar, that's your place for people to show up, and you gotta have an online presence, because if you're not online, you're not a thing. At least not with the newer, generation. Once you get past word of mouth, you don't exist as far as the rest of the world is concerned if you're not online. And then you gotta build a road. So I had the online presence, even if it wasn't fantastic, I had the online presence, but I didn't have a way for people to get there. They had to Google my name exactly and hope and pray they found it.
Hmm.
So use the marketing budget, just do it. Make sure you have a marketing budget. That's the first thing. Don't be so strapped that you don't have anything to put toward it. Get your house in line, but then use a marketing budget and just do it.
Did you feel that we were able to give you the guidance to set an appropriate budget?
Yes. And part of the problem with me is, of course, Google Ads, I'm like, $200 sounds great. Like,
Right.
because I don't know what that means,
Yeah.
really. It sounds good. And Jessica was like, well, here's what $200 gets you. $200, it's a nice sum of money, but if you're going to only spend $200, save it and go grab yourself some coffee. Like, if you want to compete for my market, it's about $700 a month. Like, but if you wanna do that, that's what you do. So rather than waste your money, save it up and do $700 one month and none the next month, or however you wanna do it. But she could give me some direction instead of me just spitting in the wind.
Yeah, thank you for that. And what we found is that with experience and our brands, and maybe are already experiencing this, that we understand that that budget will fluctuate throughout the year.
Yep.
And with experience in each and every one of the brands that we represent, it becomes easier for us to understand and recommend spends based upon not only the competition within the space, but also the time of year when the dollar spends best. Because we like to focus on not only driving the initial client, but the long term value of the marketing dollars that are spent, so that we can look at something in like the initial return on investment all the way through 10 years, that allows us to say, okay, if we spend $1 in this month, this is what it's going to be worth in 10 years. And if we spend $1 in, 2 months later, that same dollar spends differently, and we make adjustments for that. So it's really an amazing thing, and I really appreciate the trust. Um, if I could
Mhm.
ask you, if you were to sum up the experience that you've had with InTouch in one sentence, what
Okay.
would you say?
It's been a learning experience, but a good one. And I will continue to use InTouch to help grow my practice.
Can't ask for anything more than that. Dr. Hellert, I really appreciate the trust. Thank you for coming and visiting us again at 2025, and sharing with us the success. And above all, congratulations on the success that you are having in practice. It's a thrill to be along for the ride and to help with your growth. Please call me if there's ever anything I can do for you personally. But thank you once again for taking the time to share your story with our viewers.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.